Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unleashing Potentials podcast. So joining me today is Sam. Sam, how are you?
Good. How you doing, dear?
I'm doing good. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're the second podcaster I've had on the podcast.
What do you know? What they say? First time's the worst. Second time's the best.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
binary chess.
yeah. I think more people are starting podcasts, which is incredible.
Yeah, it's really. I think going to take over radio one day. I really do.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So to start, Sam, can you tell us more about you and what you do?
Yeah. So hello, everyone. My name is Sam Mitchell, and I run the podcast Autism Rocks and Rolls, and it is a podcast about autism and how we cope with daily struggles that you may or may not understand. But through the podcast, it's grown so much that we unexpectedly got sponsors. I have a board of 8 events in Indiana, which is where I'm from, and speaking engagements. I've spoken in Oklahoma, Orlando, Canada, Stuart, Florida, and Washington, D.C.
Wow, that's incredible. That's
Yeah,
really
I saw you from Canada, so when you were Canadian, I was like, ooh, that's kind
I
of
I
cool.
am in Canada. Yeah, yeah. I love talking to people from everywhere because we may be from different countries, but our stories are very similar and struggles. Um, can you walk me through of your journey of being diagnosed with autism, and when did
Yeah.
you notice you had it?
I was diagnosed at 4, but according to my mother, because I don't remember much from the childhood at the early age, because I was,
Hmm.
been asleep since then. I just showed classic symptoms, like I was too blunt. I was not looking at you when you not looking at you when you said my name. Apparently, I walked funny. So
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Can you tell us what is autism for those who don't really know or understand what it means?
Um, well, there's two views in my views. Society's view, it's a neurological condition where you just miss on social cues, non-communication, and probably some aspects of socializing or some even lacking motor function skills. They, as they would say, and I'm air quoting this because I've heard this said a lot, live in their own world. My perspective is it's a different way of thinking. That's all it truly is. Don't understand why it's a disorder if all I'm doing is thinking differently. And I think we all know people who think differently from the past are the ones that change the world. I mean, we can look at people's resumes.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And it's unfortunate that it's been put in a certain category as if you guys are not contributing to society,
Or not
which I
doing
think
anything at all.
everybody is. Yeah.
That's the aggravating part is we Autism Rocks and Rolls believes that what society's view of autism, because there are some people that are what society's view of autism. They're in their mind, they may be 3-year olds, but
Mm,
they still can't do something. I mean, a 3-year old can still do something that's not on the spectrum.
mm.
So no matter what, humans are capable of something.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah. What are some common stigmas that you've seen or you've faced?
Well, we can't do anything. One of them for certain. Another stigma that I have is they're not going to be able to live a great, I would say great life, but a successful life.
Hmm.
And that's incorrect. That we will need, that the help we're going to get is spoon fed, maybe, which is not true. We're just getting accommodations like you guys get too. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one misconception. And another misconception is why is it relevant if I'm not affected by it? Well, because you shouldn't judge someone because of their quirks all the time. Some people, okay, they're quirky, whatever. But why are you judging their quirks anyway? That's still the question I ask. But
Hmm.
maybe there's a medical condition why they're quirky.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
not an excuse, granted. I'm not trying to say autism is the reason I'm quirky. Well, I'm trying to, but I'm also trying to say autism is the reason why I'm quirky, but I'm not a dangerous person, although I'm quirky.
Mm, thank you for sharing that. I don't have autism. I have schizophrenia and anxiety. So, with schizophrenia, uh, most people think that people with it are a weapon and they're gonna harm people. So I can sympathize with what you said, not being dangerous. because we're not. We're just all of us are different in our unique ways, and we should be accepted the way we are, and not be judged.
Yeah, for crying out loud, you're a mother who just picked up her son because he hit his head on the playground. If that's not saying something, I don't know what is. A person with schizophrenia can do that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get people to see is that I'm not a monster. I may be diagnosed with what people say is a monstrous illness that doesn't make me one, right? It's just the stigmas that people have and the stories they make up. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's very aggravating when the media likes to portray it. So, I
Y-
mean, when you put these people on trial, when you put these people somewhere in the news, they pick that up. That's the first thing they pick. Person with schizophrenia.
uh,
Okay.
yeah,
Person with schizophrenia, granted, but what else has he done? Okay, maybe he made a bad choice.
yeah.
That's a difference here.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. How did you come up with your podcast name? I love it,
Well, it's
by the
down
way.
to the list. It's a funny story with that one. So it was mainly down through my list of hobbies.
Mhm.
So autism was the obvious. Well, what else can I add to it? Well, it turns out that I'm a big fan of the rock and roll genre of music. So
Mhm.
we just added the rocks and rolls to
Oh.
sound kind of cool and cool because the other idea, rock and roll taken, rock and roll's taken, rocks and roll taken. So we just add the S's.
Oh, no,
And
I
that's
have an extra S in potentials.
hmm?
On my podcast, it's the unleashing potentials. Instead of potential, I put the S.
Right. It's the same. I just put the S's and it worked.
Yeah, that's really cool. Who are some of the guests that you've interviewed?
Well, I've interviewed Temple Grandin, the biggest autism advocate out there, in case you haven't
Mhm.
heard of her. She's changed the agricultural world out there.
Mhm.
Lots of professional wrestlers. I've had, I think, Mick Foley, Kane, RVD, Buff Bagwell.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think who else here. Al Snow. So
Mhm.
many of those types of people, but then also people with stories. That's the only rule to get on the show. Otherwise, you have to have a story, but that's really it. I
Mhm.
want to make my podcast very inclusive as possible.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I saw that you've also interviewed a NASCAR driver.
Correct. I've interviewed two of them who were, I think, knew each other and actually were buddies. But
Mhm.
what's cool about them is they have won races because they're hyper focused. One of the people on the spectrum quirks is they like to what they call obsess, but we see as
Mhm.
pressing for our future skills because let's look at our resume now. Watching those wrestlers, do you know where it's led me to? Having those wrestlers on my show. Do you know where it's led to those NASCAR drivers? Even though it probably drive their parents crazy with playing Matchbox cars,
Mhm.
it led them to now winning races at first, second, and third place.
Mm. Wow, that's amazing. And the work you're doing, it's helping people from all over the world. Because you're talking to me, I'm in Canada, and you're impacting me as well. Before we started recording, I mentioned that my son might be, well, the school said he is autistic, but I don't know if a doctor needs to diagnose this first, but
There's a lot of there's a lot of day people that go through testing. So I think if the school says it might be time to check him out. Let's put it that way, or get looked at.
yeah, 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 because the signs are there. And as a mom, it's my first time dealing with it. I don't know. I'm just going with the process and doing what I can.
Right, exactly. I totally understand. I'll tell you this too. I think just for your information, this isn't to promote. This is literally a source, but I know in Canada they always have a special education conference. I
Mm,
think must have been invited. It's called Asset Assisted Special Education Technology. You might be a special education teacher. I don't know,
mm,
but keep a lookout for that in April because that
mhm,
might be useful for you.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, they do have lots of resources here, which is good. It's just the barrier and the wall and the stigma needs to, it shouldn't be there at all. Should be
Oh,
gone.
it's 100% right. It shouldn't, but
Yeah,
sadly, I'm just going to be realistic. It is.
it
But
is.
clearly, there's people like us who need to get rid of that stigma.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I'm excited that you did something about your experience and what you're going through. And that's what I'm on a mission to do that.
Yeah, because
Whether I do it,
honestly,
yeah.
I could dwell on it and be angry at the world,
Mm,
or I could actually, do something good with this
yeah.
and make it into a life's mission, which was not expected to make to a life's mission. The whole podcast ordeal was meant to be a hobby. And granted, I probably have every right to be angry and complain, like I said earlier, but I came to the conclusion that where's it going to get me compared to sharing the stories?
Yeah, 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 that's true. Yeah. Um, what are some projects that you're working on aside from
The
podcasting?
the current projects I'm working on, well, college student, obviously, in broadcasting, trying to work on to gain a degree. So that's one project.
Mm-hmm.
And then another project we're working on is we always like to collaborate with people. So if anyone's listening for a collaboration, we always like to do that. I mean,
Hmm.
we offer sponsorships. Sometimes we'll even do media projects, I call it. We have some PSA videos. So you're more than happy to work with that
Yeah.
matches or aligns with us.
Hmm.
And we also like do a lot of podcast collaboration. I mean, there's definitely ideas. I mean, we work with you and what we can do. I mean, if anyone's looking for a speaker
Hmm.
or an inspiring event, I'm down for that too. And then our events. Our big event we have in April is our gala, which is where we have the dinner and a keynote speaker. But currently, right now, our two biggest events is this weekend. I'm going to be selling some food slash chili dogs for the
Yeah.
fundraise for a trip coming up, which we need a fundraise for in Texas. And then also, it's another fundraising one. We'll be having a fall concert in a
Mhm.
bar setting, really called the Hairbangers Ball. They're big in the Midwest, but that's another fundraising trip for Austin, Texas. And the Austin, Texas trip is a retreat to learn about motivational speaking more and to proceed and elevate your message.
Wow. You're busy. You're a busy guy. You said we. Are you getting help with the podcast?
Um, well, I say we because it's mainly with nonprofit. So the
Oh,
podcast is mainly me,
mhm,
but the nonprofit where it's not the editing, I'm sorry,
mhm.
the events, the speaking engagements, the work that does not involve podcasting, that's them. The
Oh,
podcasting, the recording, the editing, putting it out, it's me.
yeah, yeah. Me too. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. When did you start to speak as a motivational speaker?
Well, I've done the same a new one because the new one was in 2022. I got invited to speak in Broken Arrows, Oklahoma, or
Mhm.
Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. I can't remember if the S is there or not, but that was my first one, and it was in February 2022. So then, when I spoke, I thought, oh, okay, I got a nice response. Maybe I can continue with this.
Mm.
And after getting some more booked, I think I got my answer.
Wow. Were you nervous when you were about to speak?
Now I don't get like that anymore because once you learn when you don't care what others think of you, that is the key to life, in my opinion. I really don't care what anyone else says, but not caring what others think of you is the key to life because it takes away a lot from your plate because you got your own stress to worry about.
Mhm, mhm.
And when you add more stress on it, that it's people's opinion, it's unnecessary. It's your life. Mind your own business.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I'm in the same space because I don't care. And I have to think my mental health diagnosis for that kind of numbs my emotion a little bit, which is not bad. It's not the best, but I don't care, because
Care either because that's exactly the same case. It has to numb my emotion. Case in point, I had to walk around campus and do music therapy, blasting loud. And
Mhm.
I'm sure people have thought, would you turn your music down?
Oh,
No. One, I don't see a problem with it
mm,
because you got a problem with it. It's easy. Walk over there.
mhm.
And two, my mental health. What would you rather me doing? Blasting music or going to psychosis and losing everything to where next thing you know, I am in a complete, utterly
Mhm.
chaos world, which is where I don't want to be. And you don't want me to be there either.
Yeah, yeah. You've had psychosis before?
No, but I'm sure I've had panic attacks that have led me
Mm,
to
yeah, yeah,
get psychotic.
yeah. I've had psychosis. That's how it started. Was a downhill trip. Psychosis was a top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not the best guy when it handles to anxiety, and I probably am exaggerating a little bit when I say
Mm,
psychosis because I just don't manage my anxiety well. It's a
yeah.
habit I gotta work on.
Yeah, well, you're not alone. Lots of people have anxiety. I have
Oh
anxiety.
yeah, I know. I think
Yeah.
most of my friends have it.
Yeah, I'm on meds for anxiety, so you're
Same
not
here, but
yeah, you're not alone. Um, you're also an entrepreneur. I can't say that word properly. Entrepreneur. I can't-
I know what you meant. So yeah,
Yeah,
the entrepreneur coming through the revenue of speaking engagements and events, and
yeah,
even some shirts that
yeah.
we have in store. One's green little designs, basically my logo. The other
Oh,
one's gray with a music theme. So if you're a music person, we have that. But currently, I we have a limited edition to where it's basically a boxing
mm,
themed one with a dog um, paw holding up because I'm an avid supporter of dogs. I'm a big dog guy, so that's where it came from too. Plus, my friend designed it a little bit. We kind of he had his own element to it, so we've got those in store for now too.
oh wow, that's awesome. And have you also spoken on TED Talk?
Yep, I've done a TED Talk guy
No way.
called Soul
Wow.
Structure. We had to do it locally, and it had to be virtual due to COVID.
Mhm.
But it's still qualified as a TED Talk, and it's on my website, autismrocksandrolls.com. It can easily be found.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. What was your experience like, speaking there?
The experience was well. I mean, it was harder. I can't really answer that because, well, I guess it kind of can. It's just really hard to answer because I wasn't on the stage. I mean, it
Oh,
was literally video recording,
yeah.
watching it from the audience
Mhm,
almost. But it was still, like I said, TED Talks. I'm glad I got to do it because I got to go more in depth with an episode and I
mm,
got to help out people. And I'm always an avid fan of helping out people, clearly. So
mm,
it was definitely a fun time.
mhm.
Could have gone better, yes. But is it a complaint that it had to be virtual and I still got to do it? No, I still got to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You're conquering your fear. Doesn't look like you have too much fears. You just do what feels right.
No, I do what's right, and then I probably I relive with the consequences. So if it includes me a kick in the shin, so be it.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, well, I love the work that you're doing, and, I'm just honored to be talking to you, to learn more. I love learning, so I appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you. I appreciate that people actually want to hear it. You know, it's coming from people now wanting me to hear them, but because before I was getting jabbed in the back with pencils, and no one, if I said a word, it would be a whisper,
Mm,
like it would be a
mhm, mhm. Wow. Well, you found your voice and you're using it and in a really powerful way.
thank
Mhm.
you.
You're welcome. So, what would you say to parents who have kids living it with autism?
Well, no, you'll definitely have some hard days. I won't lie to you.
Mhm.
So if your kid is diagnosed, Myrna, you won't have it won't be an easy sail. The ship won't be sailing smooth every day.
Yeah.
But you will have some great days, and you'll think, "Dang, that kid can move." I mean, I'm in broadcasting, and I think once I once I can survive this and handle it, then they know. I mean, I think they're very happy for me that I'm in college right now, surviving it. But do they know I have hard days? Yes.
Yeah.
And as a parent, your kid's going to bring you some hard days, but
Yeah.
they're also bring you some of the best days of your life because you'll think, man, he did that. And I didn't even think of that. He's probably a little smarter than me.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, 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 you're right. And I think it's what we do with those days, that matters. Whether we're going through hard times and just good days, just to make the best of it all, regardless of the circumstances or situations.
Yeah, there's no easy way to say it. I mean, there are some extenuating circumstances where, like I said, you would want to kill them some days. You literally would. I have parents like, oh my gosh. However, there's more days that will show you that he is a smart cookie and he can do this. I mean,
Mhm.
there's something every person with a condition or autism can do.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
Do they may not be able to drive or cook an egg? Maybe. But can you make a podcast? I think that's a little better because from a personal standpoint, I'd rather have that advanced skill to make up for a basic skill that might be able to be solved.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. You've also made it to the top 10 People's Choice Awards.
Correct. I didn't even know about that until my mother told me. She just said, "Hey, you're on the top People's Choice Podcast Awards." Oh, okay, cool.
Wow. What was your reaction when you find out?
Surprised that and very happy that again people wanted to hear me out and wanted to hear about a person who is struggling with foot and mouth syndrome or a person who actually could not socialize for the life of him. And even if he did try, he would be scared of what people saw to him.
Well, I see you, and I'm just honored, like I said, and thank you for sharing your story because you're not alone. And I think your story will serve as a guide for those who do need the help or who do need the education. Speaking of education, what would you like to see differently when it comes to colleges or just school in general, how they treat people with any types of disabilities, but autism?
Well, I would love to see them treat them with respect. Are you going to like us all the time? No. Do I think even though we are not the most functioning members of society, does that mean that you have to kick us to the curb? No. But you should not like us because of the spectrum. You should not like us because our personalities don't match. We can relate. We can go with that. But what I can't go with is because they're on the spectrum. Oh, he's wheelchair bound. Oh, he has cerebral palsy. I'm not going to like him. No, that's not what you do. Now, again, bad personality or just the personality doesn't match. That's just life itself. Whatever. But we also need to know that there are people out there who care. And do I believe that it may take a while longer, which I won't lie is very aggravating, but it's better late than never. So yes, it might be late, but you're going to find him eventually.
Yeah.
Let me put this: you'll find it before you die. You really will.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Do you have some good childhood memories?
Good childhood memories. I mean, I definitely got a lot of bad ones, more bad than the good, sadly. But I think I could share some good ones. I mean, some good ones I got to do was, I got to join the media club. That's definitely a childhood memory of mine. I went to Destin, Florida for a vacation, and even though that was probably at the worst moment of my life, it was probably the best trip of my life.
That's awesome.
Because everything felt right, and I'm definitely a tropical person who likes, who doesn't consider seafood a dessert, but likes seafood and beaches, and they had all the right activities there, so it was a great time.
That's awesome. Yeah,
and the sun was shining most of that trip.
Yeah,
physically and mentally.
Yeah, guess what? I'm a tropical person too. I'm just not in a tropical country.
No, we're not either. I experienced all 4 seasons.
Oh, nice. Here too. Yeah, winter is just a bit too long here for me, but it's beautiful. Just around after Christmas time, the snow can melt, but it doesn't.
Yeah, the temperature don't drop too quickly for you.
Yeah. So how would you normally describe yourself? Let's say someone's never met you before.
Well, I mean, I always get that question sometimes asked, and I always like other people to answer that because I'm not a person who likes to toot my own horn and say, well, I'm this. No, I don't like that. And I just, as much as I know myself, I don't know myself at the same time to tell you, well, I'm this. I can tell you, well, I do like this. I think I'm this. But from what I've heard from other people is I have an old soul, apparently. I am nice, is what I've heard too. I'm also crazy. And I'm also annoying, or can be, to say the least.
I would say those for me too. Right? We all have different phases and things we go to. But yeah.
I've been told I've been stubborn too, hard headed.
Yeah, yeah, I love your perspective on not necessarily having things to describe yourself, because it can be hard to narrow down who we are when really we're many things.
Yeah, I'm a human. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you're right. So who is your biggest cheerleader and inspiration?
Parents. I mean, it's probably the typical answer, but I
Mm-hmm.
probably would not have been anywhere where I've been today if it wasn't for them.
Wow.
And anyone really who supported me or
Mm-hmm.
has gotten me to the point where I am today or is still currently helping me. I
Mm-hmm.
just appreciate what you have given me.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm glad that you have that and the support. What is your favorite subject in the school that you're in?
Well, currently it's broadcasting clearly, but back in grade school it was English. I've never been a math guy. When you put numbers and letters together, it doesn't make sense. I
Mhm,
know it's funny because most of the people on the spectrum are logical thinkers. I've never been that way. I'm
mm,
more of an out of the box thinker. And to me, I don't like one answer. I prefer multiple answers.
yeah, I'm not a math
And
person
math
either.
isn't the way to do it. It's this way or no way. In English, there's other ways to do it.
Ah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. I don't like math. I can't.
I have to take it next semester, and I am dreading it because I've never been able to pass college math. Never. From the time I was in Ivy, because I've taken it twice already. I think once. I have to do it again. I've told people, hey, we're
Mhm.
not going to third round. When we may have to play a little dirty to do this one.
Mhm, mhm, yeah. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to share with my audience?
Well, I mean, some other fun facts, I guess, is I'm definitely a big guy who likes chicken wings. I can say that is something I do know about myself. I
Yeah.
love the rock and roll music.
Mhm,
I'm trying to think what else here for you. I do have some other conditions, really, but
mhm,
they're not as, I guess, they're sides compared to the steak, which is autism, but they're ADHD,
mhm.
peanut allergy, and sleep apnea.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think all of us have different things we're dealing with. Some people are just not able or ready to open up. And that's why I appreciate you sharing your story and opening up today.
Not a problem, man. I do not mind sharing stories. Like
Mhm,
I said, enjoy doing it. I get to use it to help people. I didn't think that when I was 15, but now
mhm,
seeing it as an adult, okay, I get to see that change is happening.
mhm,
Another view will eventually shift, or if not everybody's view,
mhm.
a more half people's will eventually.
Yeah, well, I can say you're making a big impact. Just from me hearing your story, it empowered me and I learned things I didn't know about autism. So thank you.
Yeah,
Mhm,
not a problem. I mean, like I said, we all think differently, and even though that there are going to be some challenges, and certain
mhm,
behaviors will, I don't want to say develop, but certain behaviors that grow
mhm. Yeah,
that will come unacceptable. There's going to be some behaviors that will grow and be acceptable. Now,
yeah,
how you nip it in the butt with the unacceptable behavior
yeah,
is maybe not what I call the old school way,
yeah.
where it's with no no or yelling, frustrated, screaming, spank. I mean, that's not the way to do it. Clearly,
Mhm,
it's with patience and teaching, which, as the way I was raised, is you teach the child, not
mhm.
get mad at the child for something they don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I
Now,
agree.
something they know, okay, it's like, really, come on.
Mm,
But still, because sometimes kids can be pushing buttons, it just takes repetitive behavior, and eventually they'll get it.
yeah, yeah. What is the meaning of life for you, Sam?
And so I haven't asked that same question for myself. The meaning of life is, in my view, doing what you're doing, but it's making you successful and happy, no matter what it is.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Where can my listeners find you if they'd like to listen to your podcast and support your work?
You can find me on autismrocksandrolls.com. but I'm also on your favorite media platform like YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Pandora. And if you think I'm there, I'm probably there. And if you Google me, something will pop up on you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you for what you're doing. And most importantly, thank you for sharing your story and journey with us.
Not a problem, buddy. Thank you again.
You're welcome.